Welcome to another episode of Bringing Down the Grindhouse, a podcast where we discuss horror in media. And tonight, are you prepared to risk your life playing children's games for billions of won? If so, join us as we discuss the Netflix series Squid Game. I'm Mitch.
I'm Murr.
I'm Justine.
And I'm Jonathan.
Woo! So we're kind of late to the party.
Late. Really late to this one. It was on the schedule for a while, and then we had to do other stuff, and so it got pushed back.
And now it's on the new season.
But you know,
There's a new season?
Well, they're making it. Yeah.
Yes.
And we'll discuss why they're making a new season later on.
This came out in 2021. Squid Game was the talk of the town.
Yes.
In like early September.
It was made specifically for Netflix. Like, it was picked up by them by their quote unquote Asia, like what is it called?
Branch.
Like
branch. Yeah.
I'm going to get into the production real quick before we get into the analysis. This was created, written, directed by Hwang Dong-hyuk, specifically for Netflix, who took interest back in 2019. But the story itself was written very long time ago.
2009.
Yeah.
And
10 years.
He had to shelve it because nobody was interested.
That's surprising to me, too, that this good of a script was rejected multiple times.
He brought it to numerous people, and every single one of them was like, sorry, too violent, too gory, and it's not relatable.
I guess at this point in society, we don't really care. So it's like the morality is so low. We're like, yeah, fuck it. We'll see 400 people die.
I'm sure he was convinced that the pandemic had a lot to do with people's interest in it.
Oh, absolutely.
And our deteriorating economy worldwide.
Yeah. So this is now Netflix's most watched series with 1.6 billion viewings.
Viewing hours, which means that that's how much time people spent watching it within the first 4 weeks since it launched. When it launched, the first 4 weeks it was out, it amassed that much viewing hours, which is insane.
That's actually crazy.
So it's like they got viewership in the millions, like when it was the first few episodes, and then by the time the 9th episode rolled around, it was like hundreds of millions of people viewing it.
Also, I blame TikTok for its viral output.
Yes. Justine, you mentioned it before, right? Like, there was trends coming back around again because of the music.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this one wasn't exactly coming back around again, but it was definitely put on a huge platform as soon as it came out, because they had some really interesting music throughout this. You have the sort of like death chant that you hear a lot. You hear it in that one DJ's song, you know, the cover that was done at EDC.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
That song was blowing up everywhere. That's actually how I kind of started to see more about Squid Games, because then they would have some sort of trend attached to that sound. And I was like, oh, this kind of bops, but what is this sample in the beginning? And then I came upon Squid Games, and it kind of blew up from there. More and more people were starting to do the trends. More and more people are talking about it.
Because everyone and their mother saw this series, it's now like a cultural icon within America now.
Yeah.
People were like rushing to get Squid Game costumes for Halloween.
Dope costume for Halloween.
It's
honestly.
so simple too.
And the merchandising for Squid Game is insane. There was so many T-shirts and
people jumped on it.
Backpacks.
We went to a smoke shop, and didn't they have like a Squid Game theme, like
they did.
like a shadow box or something?
Yeah, a little box you open up where you store everything, a little stash box.
I remember that place. That was cool.
So I'll get right into the rest. This series received a bunch of numerous accolades, including the Golden Globe Award for Best Supporting Actor, Series or Miniseries, or Television Film. And for Oh Young-soo's performance and 4 nominations, he got at the 28th Screen Actors Guild Awards, including the Outstanding Performance by an Ensemble in a Drama Series. So a lot of people really liked it, and it got accolades from like the higher ups in the industry.
Yep. And you can't not make a second season after the success of this show, which is why Netflix is like, of course we're going to make a second season.
Oh, absolutely.
Although whether it's going to be good or not, we'll discuss more later.
Whether or not this needs a second season, critically or not, is That's up to me.
We're gonna go into the
Netflix has got to get approval.
From me specifically.
We're gonna go into the actors real quick. I apologize if my Korean is bad. We got Lee Jung-jae playing Sung Gi-hyun. He is our main character, playing 456. Basically, the eyes that we are basically seeing all of this action take place through. We have his friend, played by Park Hae-soo.
His friend.
Quote unquote, as Cho Sang-woo, player 218, a character that is a multi-billion-dollar kind of conglomerate, but on bad times due to bad stock exchanges. Other than that, we have, I swear to God, this guy was a K-pop artist. I don't know if
he's the prettiest man I've ever seen.
They're all gorgeous.
They are literally all the dudes in K-dramas are just like, wow, you're a pretty man. Like, what is going on?
They selected you.
Yeah, literally.
We have Wee Han-jun, the police officer, Hwang Jun-ho. Basically, the police officer that is on their own rogue mission to figure out what is going on with all these people disappearing. Also looking for his brother, who also
what a great subplot to the whole, like, the regular story. It was great following him sneak in and everything.
Yeah, I liked
never
all
guessed
that.
The surprise ending to that.
We're gonna get into
that.
Then rounding off our main cast, we have Ho Young-jung playing Kang Si-byuk. She's player 067. She's like the Ruth,
the official show heartthrob for just about everybody who watched it.
She's got like
her.
She's got the short haircut, and she's like super brutal and just like
tough.
I'm pretty sure she had a career in the modeling industry first before she got into acting as well.
Yeah.
She was, I think, in New York when they called on her. To be in the series. Specifically because of her look, and I don't think she had ever been in anything before, so this might be her debut.
She did a really good job, in my opinion.
She sent in a tape to audition for the role, and the director was like, yep, that's it, we got to get her, and like did everything he could to get her over to film, and that was pretty dope because she had just finished like a modeling tour.
We have a couple more characters to round out the cast. We have Oh Young-soo, who plays Il-nam, the old man who is 001 as his player number.
What a piece of shit.
We learned some things about Il-nam.
You know, I kind of love that old man, though.
Yeah, he's very sweet.
He's playing the long con.
He has a tumor.
Yeah, he's up to no good.
Has a tumor in his brain, so he kind of seems like he has a little bit of dementia, but we'll get into that. Then we have Heo Sung-tae as Jang Duk-soo. He's the big, burly, gangster-looking guy with
that
a tattoo
asshole.
on his face.
God, dude, I love how evil this guy is.
Yeah, honestly, I love to hate him.
Yeah, he's one of those characters you really love to hate him. I don't know if he was as hateable as, like, say, like your Joffrey from Game of Thrones, but like you definitely fucking hated his character.
At some points, you kind of feel for him too.
Yeah.
We'll
get
we're gonna get into that. And then everyone's favorite, Anupan Tripathi as Ali Abdul.
The nicest dude ever.
The nicest Pakistani man ever.
He deserved better.
He did.
Oh my God, dude.
Kim Joo-young as Hyun Min-yo. She basically is the loud and manipulative woman, the one that basically screams.
I loved her
She's
too.
Wild. Toilet. She's great. She has a lot of energy.
Yeah, really though.
And then that's basically it. Except a couple other players. We have like the doctor. We have everyone else who has like sort of subplots that don't really get explored.
Yeah,
too
you
much.
also got to mention the recruiter.
Yes, the
guy who plays that child's game with them, which is actually really fucking difficult. Like you have to like smack the other player's thing and flip it in order to win. But if you lose, he gets to smack the shit out of you.
Well, that's what he said.
And he wasn't holding back
either.
Oh
my God, I love how many memes spawn from that where people are like, damn, I wish that was me. Just the dude smacking them. It was so funny.
I'm trying to find the front man.
Oh my God. Yeah, that was great. That's really kind of it. The rest of them are just going to be extra players who show up
as
recurringly.
well as the front man.
Yeah, the front man, the guy who is kind of running the quote-unquote show.
And the VIPs.
And then all of the VIPs.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck.
They're gross.
So
they are,
so
really.
They're all just really... They made them the grossest people They're just gross. I don't know their mannerisms, how they talk, all of that.
So the last character, I'll say that the front man is played by Lee Byung-hun, and he plays Hong In-ho. And if you remember, that is relevant later.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's production. Basically, this was in production for a long time. They finally got it made, and Netflix ate it up.
Yeah. So he wasn't like actively looking for people for a long time. He tried for like a year to get it produced, and nobody would take it, so he shelved it and kept it with him. And then when the Asia branch became larger, he approached them with the script 10 years later, and they were like, this is great, it's exactly what we're looking for. And it's like almost immediately greenlit it and then started production, and it turned out it was a great fucking call for that person. I'm pretty sure that guy got promoted like immediately after that and is now running like I think the branch in Asia to find other stuff like Squid Game.
Found Squid Game.
Yeah.
Here, man, have my chair.
Literally, yeah. They were like, hey, fucking do it. So I wanted to ask you guys, what are like your initial thoughts? How well did this show draw you in? Because it has a really good first episode.
The episode where we're with our main character, gambling with what little money he has.
Yeah, you get to see the main character. You get to see just like he's kind of an asshole. Like he really is just like gambling away all the money he's got.
He has a gambling addiction,
right?
Which has interrupted his relationship with his family, aka his daughter, and whatever relationship he has left with his wife. But that definitely ties into the why he probably went into this game, because it's sort of the ultimate gamble. I mean, he didn't realize he'd be gambling with his life, literally, but he knew that there's a chance to win a lot of money if he went to this strange, mysterious place from this strange, mysterious man that's been slapping him the whole time. I mean, who in their right mind would do that except an addict?
What I thought was really strong about the first episode is that he does actually win in the horse races. Mm-hmm. And even then, he's about to blow his money off before a gang of like crooks come after him. They're like, hey, man, you owe us money. We know you had it. And he gets his money stolen from another person that he helped out, who we later see as 067. Mm-hmm. They even signs a contract in blood saying that he'll pay them back.
Yeah, it was just kind of wild.
They like break his nose and they're like, I don't have a pen. And they're like, you got this, bro, right here.
Yeah, literally. Damn. I felt like the intrigue was there. You don't actually get to know about the game until you've really emotionally been attached to this character, which is like you get to see just how down on his luck he is. And this is going to be a recurring thing you see throughout the whole story, is that like pretty much every single person who shows up there is like having the worst time of their life, and then it gets worse by being a part of this game.
I don't think we're introduced to any real characters other than him and the girl in the first episode, but we basically get to see the downward spiral of why he decides to talk to the guy with the square game.
So almost immediately then we're introduced to what we're all familiar with, which is the classism that happens either in Korea or here in the United States, and kind of like the difference, how the rich are living compared to the rest of the people who are just poor and like living paycheck to paycheck. So like what do you think it was starting to say about basically capitalism and like the things you're willing to do under whatever you're living in just to get by?
I mean, it does kind of the same thing that Parasite does.
Right.
Like very really similarly, where it's just, you know, people will do like the privilege of morality.
Yes.
You know, like that entire thing, like where the people that are in good standing, like, you know, financially and in wealth and whatnot, can afford to be, you know, charitable, and they can afford to be good to people and things like that. And then there's like another, you know, part of the population that can't afford to do that. So they have to steal, they have to be sneaky, they have to lie, just to get to a piece of what those financially powerful have to do.
They are essentially having to play a game that they can't win. It's not designed for you to win. And that's sort of the way the Squid Game played out. It's not designed for you to win. It's designed to kill you.
That's interesting, because at the beginning you are kind of convinced that like they do have an equal chance of winning because of the rules that get set out by the game leader, but then it gets kind of taken apart at the end when you realize that it's all for the entertainment of a few VIPs.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I just believe that a lot of those people that were joining the game, due to their circumstances, they probably are okay with killing people.
Yeah,
probably are okay with lying and cheating and stealing.
I mean, how much money would it take for you to kill somebody and know that you could get away with it?
Yeah.
How much would someone have to pay you? Question for everybody, actually.
Right, yeah. So part of the conversation that we're going to have to discuss is, would you join a game like this?
Mm-hmm.
And what kind of situation do you have to be in for you to join something like this? Not knowing anything. They're literally going to put you to sleep, take you some random location.
Some island in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, you don't know where you're at. You don't have any of your stuff. You have to participate in a game. You don't know the rules. And then this is all for some cash to win. Like, you have to be pretty desperate, I think.
I feel like I would do it personally, like, because game shows are fun. And, like, they don't...
They don't tell you the danger,
They don't tell you the danger. So it's like, obviously, we're going to go in and see what it's like. If people get eliminated, they get eliminated. So when that actual reveal happens that your life is on the line, I think I'd be one of those people to press the button on the vote to not come back.
Right.
So I would join, but then change my opinion afterwards.
Yeah, so this is what really convinced me that they were having sort of an equal shot, right? That they were able to go and leave if they all voted. But it's like, it turns out that the vote is kind of like a farce. Like, they ended up doing it just to get the real people who wanted to be in the game and like kind of call out whoever didn't want to participate anymore. Mm-hmm. And then the old man goes and finds the main dude like himself, which is even more fucked when you find out that like he is the like one of the orchestrators of the whole thing.
He's pretty much the guy who's funded the entire operation for the many years it's been in existence.
Just for shits and giggles too. Like he was really doing it just for fun.
I think he said in the end is that he just didn't really find joy in doing anything else except for this. This is the one thing that brought him joy. And
this game has been going around since '86,
right? And
we find that out due to the police or the records in their file cabinet,
right?
But
we know Murr would do it. What about the rest of you? Would you guys do
it? No.
No, never gonna reach a moment where you're like, I need some cash.
I don't feel some cash. I'll do something else.
You know what I think I would have done? I think I would have definitely played the game with him when he's recruiting you.
Yeah.
Because, like, whatever. Like, I'll fucking play that game.
You can make a few $1,000 that way.
And, like, just keep getting as much and then just cut my luck and be like, okay, cool, and then just leave.
Yeah, but I would probably do the same thing.
The initial one where you're just slapping him or you're just getting slapped around, like, sure, if he's throwing a few $1,000s at me at the end of that, sure. But the rest of that, I'm not about... Yeah. Money's not that important to me. Like that. Yeah.
I mean, how often do you get asked to be on a game?
Okay, so if I was in these people's positions, though, I might feel differently.
Right,
because
so
they
that's the big part.
specifically targeted people that were in significant amount of debt. Now, if you were in that much debt, would
Bronson,
you have a different
opinion?
opinion?
What are you doing?
Oh.
He looked like he was taking a shit. Sorry.
Cut that out. Shit, what was I saying?
They're in desperate situations.
Yeah, so you have these people who are in a significant amount of debt, and if I was in that amount of debt, it really depends. I mean, I would be probably pretty desperate to do just about anything. Like, I just go on this game show and I get however much money, if it gets me out of debt, no fucking problem.
So you would play the first game like me?
Yeah, I probably would. And I don't know. I would have to play the game and see what kind of shot I think I had at winning,
That initial moment when people get gunned down, though, that's like... pretty rough to
I know
watch.
that's a trial by fire kind of thing going on there.
I also love how naive the first two characters get gunned down are, because they're just let's go, dude, come on, we're playing red light, green light.
Yeah.
And then
he like shakes him. He's like, come on, get up, like stop messing around. And then he realizes that it's like legit that they are getting shot at.
Yeah, so these games are like designed by their creator to be children's games.
Yeah, they also start with a large amount of people. Mm-hmm. There's like 500 or so people.
456.
And I think it went down by like half or more after the first game.
It went down to like 200.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think it was more than half. Yeah.
Yeah. So then, why children's games? Like, why do you think he chose like a child's Korean game that you would know? And like things that are kind of universal, right? Like we all know red light, green light. We all know tug of war.
I think it's sort of like, it's kind of cruel in a way, but it makes them think that they have a chance because these are games that everyone knows. I mean, everybody knows red light, green light. We all played it as a kid. Everyone knows hopscotch. And so by giving you a task that you are familiar with, you think you have a chance of winning. So you're more motivated to go through the games. Like, oh, they're just children's games. I might be able to figure this out, you know?
It'd be different if it were like a convoluted original game that people don't understand. And if they got killed, it would probably feel more brutal. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, this guy didn't know how to play fucking red light, green light. What a dumbass.
When you're making something like this, you're thinking about not only, in terms of the narrative itself, but also in terms of the audience. Right. So you want your audience to be able to understand what their goals are just as much as the characters need to be.
Yeah.
And then, like Justine was saying, it lures them into a false sense of security because they're like, these are children's games, dude. Easy. And then when they like fuck up at them, oh, because it wasn't that easy, was it? Sir.
Literally gets
they also
shot.
Yeah.
They really step it up too at the end when they're showing like basically the showcase game for the VIPs that isn't really a child's game. It's just straight up a dangerous game that they have to play by jumping on the planes.
That one was
on the glass panes.
It reminds me of like Don't Break the Ice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You know what?
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of for that one in particular, because all the other games have some sort of historical significance.
This also is when you find out that, of course, like absolutely everything is rigged. And it's like there's a dude who worked with glass before who's able to identify.
Oh, that was nuts. And then they changed the lighting.
They changed the lighting to fuck with him. And it's like, wow, this is so fucked. So like, I almost felt like the first half of the show was amazing. And then as you get it, like as it's taken apart at the end, you're kind of like, oh. But then again, that might be the feeling that they were trying to give you, was like you can't win in the capitalist society,
right.
like no matter what you do.
What this is trying to say is there's a small percentage of people that are orchestrating just about everything that goes on, and we play these games thinking we have a chance of reaching the same level that they're at, or at least making our situation better. When in reality, everything's rigged. It's not equal opportunity. Some people have a higher platform or a head start more than others. I mean, just think about the physical games that were going on in Squid Games. Somebody who's disabled or elderly is not going to be as sufficient at certain things that somebody who's muscular. In this case, you had the old man on that one team for the tug-of-war game. Right. But he knew the game. He designed the game, so he knew exactly how to get out of it, which is kind of crazy to me, is he willingly put himself in danger for the thrill of it. Well, he could have died in that moment, but,
What, in the tug-of-war? He wasn't even attached to the rope.
We come to find out.
That's right.
There's all these little
and again,
hints.
It's rigged from the start.
Yeah, so like he made it seem like he was in danger, but I think he just liked the thrill of being so close to death.
Exactly.
Like seeing people getting killed because he himself was going to die at some point. So like it was like a weird twisted thing that he had done. It's like really dark that he was doing stuff like this. So
because he's honestly just a complete psychopath at this point.
Yeah, that's a good segue then into how do you guys feel about the old man and his like really long con through the whole show?
What I feel is as the show goes on, the narrative kind of drives off, but what keeps you there is the characters, because they're in hard positions, so you kind of put yourself in their shoes. But at the same time, they're very likable. And so I was just bringing it up. Every person goes back to the games due to a different thing. Essentially, like they even like foreshadow their deaths in a lot of ways.
That's true.
Yeah.
Like Ollie gets his... he swipes money from someone and gets stolen and steals his boss's money while he puts his hand through a crusher.
That episode, dude, though. So that one hurt because he's really one of like the only innocents.
Well, there's two really interesting things that happen in that episode, because you have Ali being betrayed by this man, the main character's friend. Yeah, the billionaire asshole or whatever he is, quote unquote, who's actually in a significant amount of debt because that's why he's there. Yeah. Basically, like fucks him over and betrays him and misleads him to lose the game purposely so he could win. And then you have the old man who supposedly loses the game, and dies, but he doesn't actually die.
He just gets removed from the game.
Right.
This is also, so that episode in particular that you guys are talking about, like closer to the end, this is literally when like everyone's morals gets put on display. Like what are they willing to do to win? And you have the saddest ending for like 3 or 4 characters.
Yeah, and it's sad for the old man because we don't know that he's been playing them
Right.
yet.
You get the sense that like he's having some sort of memory problem. So the main character is like, no, you didn't win.
Trying to use his dementia
Yeah,
against him.
Yeah,
use it
which
against
turns out
him.
he doesn't even have dementia. He was just playing a character pretty much the whole time.
And then the old man calls him out on it and is like, would you really take advantage of like an old man like that? And you're just like, oh fuck. And like this is so sad. And then you really sympathize with him because you're like, oh wow.
They even give you that part where he's like, this looks like my old house. And
Yeah.
he goes to his house and you're like, this is where we should play our game.
Nothing though was sadder for me than when the two girls are having their discussion and they don't even play a game.
I know. They just kind of agree who's going to die.
Yeah,
Well,
she's like, yeah, it's
eventually
like
come to an
it's gonna
agreement.
be me, and then they like find out about each other and like how they got there, and it's like the saddest scene because she's like looking right at her and then just gets shot like towards the
She's
end.
like, thank you for playing with me.
Right,
Oh,
and you're
my
just
heart.
like, oh,
Yeah. Hard to watch.
That one, seeing the other character, it's Ali.
Yeah, Ollie.
Him losing is heartbreaking. And then they get pushed on to the next stage, and then you're just like, oh, this is awful. Like, this is already a terrible show.
You even think that the old man is dead, so
Right.
it even feels even worse. And at some point, we are shown a husband who went in the game with his wife, which I can't even
Yeah.
fathom.
Can you imagine having to have that conversation with your spouse
Oh,
about
Like-
who's going to die between the two of you?
Yeah, and that's the thing. In this episode prior, that crazy woman got picked off, so she was like, no one wants to be my partner.
She didn't have a partner, so she was like basically immune for that round.
Dude, that was so great because they go back in and she's like so smug. Like, yeah, I got through it.
She's like,
fuck you guys.
there's no reason for a kid who can't have friends to die.
And she made it
basically.
pretty far in the game.
She did make
you
it really
know?
far.
I think she would have won the ice-breaking game if she didn't
She's
want to
slimy.
exact vengeance. But, she deserved that
I'm here
vengeance,
for
and I'm
the lady
glad
vengeance.
she got
This
it.
is always
Yeah.
great.
Took
So-
that asshole down with her.
That episode starts with them saying you got to be paired up, and everyone's like, I got to pick a strong person.
Right.
I gotta pick someone that I trust, and everyone's like, I want you to be with me.
This is literally when you figure out that, like, man, they really made it the worst possible scenario for them by, like, having them form bonds in the beginning and then turning them against each other for that last round.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah, this is where you get to the point of the ethics of the whole thing, right? Where you're like, is this even possible? And I think that's what fucked with a lot of people who are watching it.
I think another thing that we should bring up is the entire subplot that is going on while these games are
Yes.
evolving.
The
some
organ
espionage.
harvesting.
Yeah.
Well, so there's like three things, right? So there's the detective who's broken in and is posing as one of the like enforcers who's trying to find his brother, who we then find out was the leader, the guy who was leading the games.
He was
The
the
front
guy
man.
behind
The front man.
black mask. The
So-
front man.
So they were like, where's, like, his brother disappears, and it's because he's being the front man. He wasn't necessarily like lost, but then he figures that out like towards the end. There's the organ harvesting from one of the doctors to like sell on the black market.
Hey, that's economic efficiency right there.
Okay, to be
Honestly.
honest though,
Economic
that's
efficiency.
really smart play.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
come
really
on.
is. Evil genius level
Yeah,
of planning.
It really is.
My favorite part is that all these guys, there's like a group of like 4 or 5 guys that are all on this, and they like
And one of the people
Especially
who's playing
Target.
the game, who's the doctor that they probably recruited purposefully
Oh yeah,
for
yeah.
the organ harvesting, because there wasn't any other doctors who were there
No.
except for the one player.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Why
He
did
gets
they say
info.
the doctor was there? Did they ever say?
no. They did
The
not.
doctor is playing the games with them, and they tell him what the next game is going to be.
No, I mean, why did
Oh.
he go join the game in the first
Oh.
place?
They
Yeah,
don't-
what
they
was
don't
his
I don't think
debt?
they explained
yeah,
that.
like was he in debt? Like was he, malpractice? Like what? What's the
I would
reason?
imagine malpractice,
Yeah.
which might be why they chose him, because they're like, yeah, he's a shady doctor. He'd do some organ harvesting.
Yeah,
for us.
that's true, huh?
Now this is where I got to bring up the entire like complex of this thing. It's on an island. They're all drugged in SUVs and brought to here, but there are rankings between the different members of their squads,
Yeah, the circles, the squares, and the triangles.
which are all the Squid Game shapes as well, which I
Mhm.
thought was really a cheeky
Yeah, it's
thing.
what makes up the ground. How do I explain it?
the hierarchy.
The
kinda.
layout of what you're playing on.
Oh yeah.
So, but it
my-
is, yes, it is also the
What I
hierarchy.
like about this whole subsection is that the doctor, they don't know what the next game is at some point for the doctor.
Yeah.
So he gets really agitated and kills one of them. and then he escapes. And everyone who's in on this, like even the camera guy, they're like, "Oh shit!" Come to find out that it would have been. He's not mad about the organ harvesting. He's like, "This is fine," but you cheated because they gave you information about the game.
Yeah.
Also, you took your mask off, so you're gonna die.
Yeah, that was wild because you kind of get these weird rules that they're making, and this is still kind of at a point where you're like, no, they still got like a fair shot, right? And then you get it all kind of pulled out from under you when you realize what it's about.
Ooh, there's also one more thing we forgot to mention: the lights out scene.
I've been wanting to bring that up actually, where everyone just goes fucking nuts and starts killing each other at night.
They purposely took away food from the area so people would get agitated with each other, and so that's
and then come to find out that if someone gets killed, not even in the game, it still counts and their money still gets put into the pile. Because in the game, when someone gets killed, their money gets added to the pile that you'll eventually split amongst
giant fucking piggy bank.
Yeah.
That's the craziest thing. When it all starts like this, these guys are fighting over food, and the big bully guy, who we love to hate, like just punches a dude in the face, and he lands on the concrete.
I can't believe he kills him. That's insane.
They come in with the coffin, and then you see the money go out, and they're like, "All right, lights out," and you're like, "Wait, the money? We don't have to kill them in the game. We could just kill them."
Yeah.
And that's the big
And then,
bam.
Man, that was a really brutal scene to watch too, especially considering like it's nighttime, it's dark, it's disorienting. People are going all over the place. People are building fortresses, building weapons out of whatever they have available to them.
Right.
It's absolutely nuts. But I mean, given the scenario, I feel like this is probable.
And they
definitely
only end it when the old man says to end it.
Yeah, but
Yo, what a convincing fucking actor, though, to be like, he's terrified. The dude literally pees himself to sell it.
Yeah.
And it's like, is convincing everybody that he's just a helpless old man during this situation when he really was the one who called it off. Which is insane.
I know, and it's crazy to think back on that part too, because you think, oh, maybe they're actually like, oh, okay, this is enough. We have some morals. We're not gonna like all of you kill each other. But no, it was just because head honcho was like, yeah, all right, cut it off.
I do have to say though that this might be the only time he was ever in any actual real danger.
That's true. That's true.
Because anybody could have offed him at that point, but he somehow figured out a way to climb up top and like stay there. So. Like unless there was other people in the room making sure he was safe, but it's too chaotic. Like this may be the only time he was in danger, and it could be that he just wanted that to happen. Like he wanted to be in that much danger.
That's a true gamble, right?
So
there.
like
he's actually gambling with his
Oh
life.
yeah, exactly. And so he's that's essentially what everybody's doing when they go back. They're gambling with their lives.
Part of the reason why I think he made it so he would be off near the marble game is because that bridge game, anyone could push anyone off.
True.
Yeah, he could have easily died on
he's
that
probably
one
making
too.
sure.
Also, shout out to the cookie game. That was nerve-wracking. Holy
it's so
shit.
simple, but
So that's not like officially a child's game, but they made it into a simple game of just like, you just got to get the shape out.
Yeah, kids. There is a name for this specific cookie.
Yeah, the treat.
And it's like, the treat. And kids usually just like kind of do their own thing with it, where it's just like, hey, try to get the thing out of it without breaking it. Haha, this is fun. And then they were like, if you break it, we shoot you. It's a lot. There you go.
So it's like super nerve wracking because you have these very simple shapes, and then you get these very convoluted ones like the umbrella.
Another cool, well, not cool, it kind of sucks. It's another example of how we're talking about capitalism and everything's rigged. Is you could get an easy shape and you're going to have much more higher chance of succeeding, or you could choose a difficult shape and be suffering all the way through. But they don't really tell you the rules of the game, so people are just sort of picking shapes at random to start with. And then the rules of the game eventually get exposed, and you're kind of fucked based off of your prior choices. Misinformed choices, too.
Even Song-woo could help out his fellow comrades, but he chooses to tell them, yeah, you know what? We should all pick different shapes. You pick the umbrella. Go for it.
Right.
Yeah, this is the beginnings of... So this is sort of one of the subplots is that... Which is also a really sad story. He like basically sells his mom's shop.
Yeah.
To like pay for debts, and then they show up and they're like, your son's under arrest, and she's like, what? No, he's like in business in the United States. And you're just like, oh my god, this is awful. But also his interaction with his friend, his quote unquote best friend, or like childhood friend, and like he's shown to be a very ruthless person right from the start, whereas the main character is actually a pretty decent person all the way through.
I just figured it out. I just figured something out.
Figured it out.
So like I mentioned before, every character has their death foreshadowed.
Right.
The woman puts the knife to the guy's neck for her broker to try to get him to see her brother. She gets stabbed. The gangster guy basically gets ransacked by a bunch of goons. He jumps off a bridge.
Oh wow, he literally jumped.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right. That was also a funny scene. Welcome to Korea. Like fucking stabs the dude. You're like, oh yes.
Our main character wins the horse races.
Yeah.
But ends up having to sign something in blood.
Wow, he actually literally wins.
The blood is on his hands too.
Oof.
Also, Sangu kills himself. He tries to kill himself in a tub at some point too.
Does he?
When he gets in the full suit, drinking himself with a bunch of pills on the counter.
Oh, that's right. He does.
He's definitely trying to kill himself, and he kills himself in the game.
Whack.
But the blood is on number one's hands.
Yeah. So then I think were you gonna say something else? I know you were just starting to say something.
Then we
lost my train of thought.
Then we got the fucked up quote unquote game with like
So then we gotta talk about how it sort of comes to a very like heightened end, and then it kind of like, how do you feel about the ending? Was it satisfying? Like after seeing them go through all of the trouble they did in the beginning?
I like the whole subplot of the VIPs coming to watch this because that's a believable subplot.
Yeah.
I could see
giving me
like
some Hunger Games vibes.
I could see some rich people paying a lot of money to watch humans fight each other like that to the death.
Yeah. For some reason, it's like it's believable, but it rubbed me the wrong way as far as like if I think if you're gonna be a sick, twisted individual who wants to pay money to have people kill each other, that you're not gonna set the rules against them. Like you kind of like, it feels for me, if I was gambling that way, the gamble is that they could escape, and that's kind of like the thrill of it. But they don't want that. They want the thrill of just seeing them get killed
because they're psychopaths.
Yeah.
Which is really fucked up because it's during the bridge game, and like you said, the guy who has the specialty in glass. They're like, why is that guy like
figured it out super fast?
They're like, why is that guy on his knees? Like, is he looking at the glass? Can he tell the difference?
I mean, I guess that's sort of a metaphor for people who start to win the game of capitalism.
Oh, yeah.
And how like governments dictates what they are allowed to make money doing.
Yeah,
if
you
think
tax,
about it that way.
Tax brackets, shit like that.
Yeah, no, things like property taxes.
Property taxes is a good one.
Which are ridiculous because it's like I own my house, but
I still have to pay money
for
the land that I own.
For the land, yeah.
Yeah. Also, the fact that most, money-based like tickets and things like that are literally for the lower class.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we've talked about it before.
I know, it's kind of insane when you look into it, the kind of things we're taxed for and the kind of things that when you're wealthier, you can write off in your taxes. Like, you would think a large investment like a boat or something like that would definitely be taxed up the ass, but they write those off in their taxes. They don't get taxed for that shit. But we would.
Yeah,
we would.
But that's a good point, that the way that they've created the game is a direct like intervention that you might see in real life, which is the government being like, whoa, you can't make that much
It's like
money.
in a metaphor sort of way is what we're looking at.
And it's directly related to what's going on in Korea during that time period, even now, that it's sort of like going through an economic crisis, which is really creating disparity between the really rich and the poor.
There's becoming an increasingly stark contrast between the rich and the poor.
They symbolize this with them being the last three characters. They get suited up. They get suits and they get to have a nice fancy meal before their last game.
Yeah, literally their last meal, which is kind of crazy. And then, but the ending to me falls flat.
Oh, I agree.
Like, I don't know if it was just because you had such an epic intro into it, or like I personally didn't like the ending.
It's him and his friend fighting each other, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's the three. Well, actually, the girl dies at dinner, doesn't she? Yeah, she ends up getting stabbed because even then you could be offed. Yeah. But the last game is the game that they introduced the whole series with. This actual Squid game is what it was, and I'm still a little unfamiliar about the rules exactly, but. Yeah, he ends up fighting his best friend in the end.
Oh, she doesn't get stabbed. She gets glass because of the way those things explode.
That's right.
And she gets a glass shard in her side.
What a cool shot, too.
Yeah, that was insane.
That's slow-mo, just...
What were you checking?
So the actual Squid Game itself.
Yeah.
Usually played with teams, probably about 4 people.
Yeah.
Which is probably why this one is so boring, is because there isn't like 4 people doing it. Yeah,
much.
exactly. And like each team represents a different house. You have one that's on the upper circular section. It's because it kind of looks like a squid head.
Yeah.
A little bit. So you have 2 in like the upper section, and then you have the team on the bottom. And the idea is the upper house is the offensive team, and they're trying to get past the lower house and get out of the situation. And the other team is supposed to keep them in their box.
That's so symbolic, too, about the game between certain classes and how they're trying to move from one section to another, but they're constantly being opposed by the other side.
Yeah, that's true. Also, the main character, he wins. Goes, leaves. He ends up not using any of the money.
Yeah, he doesn't spend any of his money for about a year. Dyes his hair red though.
Random as fuck to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of it's just really lackluster, because you're sort of like.
Well, think about it. He gets out of the game, and now he has nothing really to use his money for. His mother died while he was at the game. His daughter,
also really sad, because he goes back to the apartment and she's still there. She's still there. Nobody notices that his mom has been dead in her apartment for who knows how long he's been gone.
And then you have his daughter, who he was trying to get the money for in the first place,
gone.
Moves to the United States with her mother and her stepfather. He has pretty much nothing to really work for anymore. There's nothing to look forward to.
He is the umbrella man. He always forgets his umbrella wherever he goes. We see this when he asks money from the step parents. He chooses the umbrella in the cookie game, and now it's raining. He has a suit on, but he doesn't feel happy because he doesn't have an umbrella still.
Right. Ding. I do like the idea of him going to like try to dismantle the games, because they're obviously going to continue. Like, they're going to keep these games going because all the VIPs are pretty much fine, except for maybe the one dude who got tied up. But, like, other than that, they're not in any real danger. So they're like, yeah, we'll keep the games going. So he wants to do something about it.
Yeah. What I didn't like is bringing back the old man. As the mastermind. That really kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
Well, I don't get why you would bring him back just to see him So, okay, I keep saying I don't get why, but I do get it. They want to make you feel helpless while you're watching it, which is that, like, you get to see him die peacefully after all the terrible shit that he's done. But it didn't make sense for me why he just let it happen. Like, if I saw this dude again, that guy's getting strangled in his fucking bed. Like, what is this shit?
Or is he a representation of the old generation being able to just cruise on through all the shit that everyone else has to deal with?
You're not wrong.
They even bet on a game on a drunk guy's life.
Yeah.
And they're cruising through on their old ideologies and expectations for what the rest of the world is, because you have this moment where he's looking outside and there's a man who's passed out in the snow, and if he stays out there too long, he could die. And he says, I bet you in the next like 15 minutes or so, no one's going to come to help him.
So then I want to ask you guys, how is this relevant now? Like, why was it so popular during the pandemic, in the United States specifically? Like, we're basically going through a crisis.
Economic troubles that breed a lot of competition in this job market at the moment, toppled with people sitting at home and being aggravated, the same type of isolation that ish.
Yeah.
And I think it's those 3 factors.
As well as political discontent.
Yeah, that's totally a thing.
And that's been ramping up the last like 5 years or so.
And that's why it's popular. There's a lot of people that are pissed.
Yeah, it's kind of like perfect recipe for success for something like this.
If someone were to make this a real thing right now, you would have a lot of people signing up.
Absolutely.
I think that's one of the darker
Do one
parts.
for college students in debt.
Oh,
you want to know something wild? There's this studio that I work at, and the owner of the studio was telling me that they spend up until about their 50s paying off their student loan debt.
Yeah, it takes a while, like a long time. Especially if you don't get a well-paying job.
And if you had the option between suffering in debt for the next couple decades or playing a game for a few weeks and winning a whole bunch of money, I mean, a lot of people would probably go with the game.
Well, what were you gonna say, Mitch?
I forgot.
Oh, dang, I'm sorry.
Well, so there's also the thing of like the running joke of all students in college is like, man, I hope this bus just hits me so I can fucking pay for my college debt, which is already dark in itself. And so it's like relevant.
I think that this is also popular. This series was also popular because I think it kind of transcends the right versus left sort of thing, because you'll see similarities on both of those sides of what they like to complain about.
Oh, fair.
You know what I mean? There's like mistrust of government heavily rampant on both sides of it.
Yeah.
Hence why I think that having an organization or making a group of like wealthy people like the evil.
I love that they made the American evil elites VIP people like the most disgusting people you've ever seen.
Oh yeah, gross.
Yeah, I like how like 3 or 4 of them are Americans.
Yeah.
And there's a couple others from different countries.
Just hamming it up. They love those roles. Like getting to be like cynical.
They're like, I just get to sit around naked, just displaying all of me all the time. Sweet.
The fucking detective dude goes undercover as one of the like drink boys for the VIPs, and then one of them tries to take him to the back, if you know what I mean. Where he proceeds to
if you could satisfy me in 5 minutes, I'll change your life.
That's
kid.
what he says. Yeah. It's so gross. It's so gross.
Yuck.
Proceeds to get pistol whipped.
Yeah. God, that was funny. He hit him so fucking hard.
Okay, so I want to bring this up. What do you want to see in season 2 then?
Season 2.
I want to see more of an explanation of the hierarchy system that goes on within the games and how they choose those people in particular, because I had
how
a
do you
theory.
Get hired for that?
Yeah, I had a theory about some of the roles and positions, because it's clear there's a hierarchy and some people are probably just as vulnerable as the people in the games given their jobs and the rules that they have set in place. So I had this theory that what if the lowest class is like people who were imprisoned?
Ooh.
And they would get time off of their sentence if they go to work this particular job.
Right.
That's not bad.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that.
I would say that is pretty plausible, but at the same time, there were teenagers there.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like super kind of weird to have. I mean, they could do a juvie thing too.
Yeah, juvie exists everywhere.
Yeah.
Just different versions of the Squid. Do I want to see another season of Squid Game? No.
Yeah, honestly.
But also, I like these ideas, but I don't want to see another one.
I kind of want it a just like absolutely desolate, like bad ending for him. Like I wanted him to like be living in absolute squalor with all of this money, knowing he can't spend it, and like he just does nothing about it.
I would have loved that too.
Because that would have just been like the crushing final blow for this character, is that even though he's won all of this money, it's useless because you can't buy your happiness. So it's like that would have been like the especially terrible ending for our already like horrific show. But like having them go to do something about it is also on the other side this hopeful thing. And of course it gives people hope of changing your situation, which you probably won't, but it's still like it'll draw you in. So it's kind of good either way. It's just I didn't like that ending.
It feels like we're probably going to see the main character be the role of the cop in the next season.
Right.
Infiltrating or trying to get people to see what is going on.
Yeah, because he can't join it again, right?
I mean, he could.
Or could he?
Or
he starts his own.
Yo, okay. Then there's a whole different angle. A returning champion, maybe the first time, kind of like in Battle Royale.
My guess is that he will try to join again, but he'll pay people to go with him. Like he's got all the money, right? So he's like, I need people to come with me to like break up whatever's going on, and like so he'll hire like military dudes or something.
That's a pretty good angle
to go with him and disrupt their game.
That's cool.
That could also work.
Also, they're probably going to change up the games.
Yeah, of course they're going to change up the games.
We are getting to season 2, unfortunately.
Yeah, it is getting made, just whether or not we like it or not.
I also think that the really hot police officer is coming back. I don't think he's dead.
Well, I hope so.
What was the final scene with him? What
he gets shot by his brother on that one island that he escaped to. Because remember, he tried to swim away.
Does he fall off into the water?
He falls off into the water. But I have this rule that if I don't see a person actually dead on film, they're not dead.
This is real, though. People do this all the time.
Yeah.
I also think it's kind of hilarious that they both shoot each other in the shoulder.
Yeah. It's like a quick draw. So then we're kind of getting closer to the end of it. Do you guys have any sort of favorite scenes, like things that you're like, wow, that was done especially well?
I definitely have a favorite episode, and it's probably the one where they do the don't break the glass game.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you get a much broader perspective of what this game is exactly, because the VIPs are sort of introduced towards the end of the previous episode, but in this episode you really get to see them in their full-fledged glory. Just realize exactly how fucked up this thing has been from the start.
They also have that heartbreaking scene where they're just like, son, I've been last in everything I've done. I've never been picked first. Please let me take the first vest to go
And he
first.
really saved him in that moment, because if he had gone first, he
really
probably
did.
would have died.
Yeah, you want to go like close to the end for that, if not the last.
Yeah, that's a good scene though.
Yeah, that whole setup, that whole game was really,
Not to mention
but
that
also,
the show. Go ahead.
sorry, the aspect of the vengeance playing out with the one
Yes.
crazy chick and the guy we love to hate.
Yeah, that was great too.
Where she just bear hugs him.
She's
and
like, "I
takes
told
him
you
down.
I'd kill you if you betrayed me."
Mm-hmm. And she followed through with it, and it was really satisfying.
That was
to
great.
see.
I love that.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that the show itself kind of manipulates you as you're watching it. Like you start like plotting, like figuring out ways that you could win at this game or any of the games. Like you start guessing what's the next game, what could it be? Like how could I win? And then you kind of get your own morals tested while you're watching it. Of like, would you do something like this? Would you push somebody into the glass like to win however much money? And that's kind of I think the intrigue of most of the show is that they wanted to see what people would do, and in a sense we're all the VIPs. We get to watch these people do all these things. So it's like
it's kind
they
of
place you in a terrible situation.
It's ironic.
It's ironic. You end up watching it and like you can't really do anything about it, but then you consider whether or not you would do some of these things, and that's sort of like the appeal of it, right? It's like your battle royale like esque kind of thing, your Belko experiment.
Then what's your favorite scene?
My favorite scene, although I did really like the woman taking her revenge. I think that the scene where the lights go out is really intense, and I don't think I've seen anything quite like it.
It's very primal.
Yeah, like you end up tapping into some stuff where people are like, holy shit, like just all of it is breaking loose. The other bit I liked was seeing the investigative part from the police officer. So when he first gets onto the island, like he gets into the boat and things like that, there's a really tense moment where the guy comes up to him and he's like, what are you doing? And he like talks to him and he's like, you know the rules, you can't talk. And he was like, I'm like, oh fuck. And like you think he's gonna get caught, and then he's like, whatever, just get back up to your room. And then he has to stay there in his room the whole time. So I really liked the subplot to it, but I did like that first shot when he gets onto the boat.
Yeah, that's sweet. I have two favorite scenes. My first one is when they're basically getting teams for tug of war, and they realize that they have like a good amount of women and an old man on their team. But he was like, I played tug of war a lot.
Yeah.
And he was like, check it out. We're gonna be crisscross like this. We're gonna have this, and we're gonna have Ollie as the anchor. And I was like, yo, that's my boy right there. And then so they go and they just hold this stall that is so fucking cool to look at, because they do a 360 view around this stage.
Right.
And it's just like they're not moving. They're not budging at all. They like have the form down instead of just pulling rigorously.
And then win because they let the other group fall.
Yeah, they go forward.
Yeah, which is a real strategy that people use in tug of war. I think, Mitch, weren't you looking up stuff about how old tug of war is?
Tug of war is really old. Like ancient Egypt, Greece, like that old.
Nice.
Yeah. But yeah.
My second favorite scene is the entire exchange with the two girls in the marble game.
Yeah, terrible.
How they just talk about their past and talk about why they're playing it. And the girl's just like, I'm just doing it because I had nothing else to do.
Wow, just like, what the fuck?
And basically just the entire scene where they're like, all right, we're going to play our game. And she sacrifices herself.
Yeah.
Because she feels for the other girl. And I can't get that video out of my mind where she gets capped and says thank you for playing with me.
Yeah, really though.
It like hurts my heart to think about it.
It's probably the scene that got most of everyone to be actually crying or very close to being like, oh my god, because you actually care about all of these characters. That's true.
Yeah, I liked the marble episode the best, just because the marble game is the most complex of all of the games that they play. So there's like 100 different rules for how marbles works.
Well, they say you can make up any game you want.
Yep.
To win the marbles and to bet with them. So they come up with a lot of stuff. Like even the bully, like the big ass dude, they like come up with this game where they have to toss the marble into a little like hole in the ground, which is extremely difficult. I don't know why you would do something like that. And then somehow wins. And then, oh, actually, no, he loses that game, right?
He's about to lose, but he hits the other guy's marble out of the area.
Yeah.
That guy was he was like, oh, I'm going to win, boss. And he's like, boom, hits his marble out of there and he's fucked.
Oh, man. So those are all, there's a lot of stuff actually, I think.
Yeah. No, but I mean, just because all the other games there is no really, like, there's maybe the cookie one is a little bit creative in how you get around that, but the other ones, it's all, check what you're doing or not. I don't know. They're very simple, straightforward.
Yeah, I get you.
You guys have a rating for the Squid Game TV series on Netflix?
I give it a 9.5.
Oh, dang.
I honestly thought that the show was really, really well done and really detailed and deep. And I take the little 0.5 off just because I felt the ending was a little unsatisfying. But I assume that was purposeful to sort of leave you wanting more. So when the second season comes out, you get your resolutions. I love this.
I'm going to go with a 9. I docked the point for the ending as well. They could have wrapped it up, but I know that we're in the era of sequels. I got to give points to the sound design and the production of the stages. All handmade.
Yeah,
all like stuff
I can't
that's
imagine
really there.
How much work that was.
That was another thing too. Sorry, I wanted to mention is the staircase.
Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna bring up.
Yeah. I thought that was a really clever aspect of the design to the place because it's very colorful, very whimsical, but it's also impossible to get through unless you're with someone who knows the layout. And so it's perfect for keeping prisoners because if you try to escape, you're not going to be able to get out of the stairwell.
Yeah. Big ups to the revolving staircase that looks like a fucking old school painting that I can't name.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
We all know
the one. But also, you have really good characters. You really feel for these people. So when they die or they succeed, you feel it in your body, in your heart. Thanks.
What do you think, Mitch?
Thanks for playing with me. Oh.
There are some touching moments in Squid Game, like some touching, heartstring pulling moments, but like that ending was pretty lackluster, and I just kind of I think that the last 2 episodes of the series just kind of had me not really caring as much about anything that was going on because I don't know, they killed a lot of the more interesting people in the show very early on too. At least I think so. Mm-hmm. So yeah. I'm giving it a 7.5 because it was very okay as a series in my opinion. Very okay.
Wow.
He's like, yo, this was mid as fuck.
Yeah, mid. Not like terrible, but for me it's just kind of, I don't know. There's some stuff that hits and some stuff that just falls flat for me.
Was it overhyped?
Oh hell yeah.
I want to give it like an 8.5, like a 9. Because there are a lot of great layers to it. But this is my own personal preference. I don't think the show is bad, and I think the ending makes sense for where they were going as far as making a new one. I didn't like it because that's not what I wanted. And so it's like personal rating ends up coming out a little different. Of course, the show is amazing because it's like I haven't been that drawn into a show since I watched like a few other things. What were you going to say?
Well, I mean, it's not it does a good job of drawing you in and getting you interested, but I think that a lot of that meat gets killed off literally and also figuratively, like early on in the series.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's just kind of like that last third of the series is just kind of weak. And it's like they did a lot of really good build up to just kind of like
they had to tie it up, and they kind of abandoned some things like very quickly and stuck to just that main plot. Like
a sad hand job, that just ends too late. She's just like, yeah, no. Just let's go.
I didn't want that.
Yes, Mitch's official rating of the film: a sad hand job.
I gotta give my point of view.
Funny.
Oh, it's Mur's point of view.
I mean, they do have a sex scene.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's on a toilet, and she's smoking a cigarette. That's badass, dude.
That's right. No,
that's badass.
No.
Believable, actually a believable sex scene. Not gonna lie. Watching it, I was like, yeah, this actually looks like.
Wait, can we also talk about how she smuggled a pack of cigarettes and a lighter
in her coot?
Yeah. No, that's pretty great. Those are pretty great.
I was like, what is going on? What is she gonna have? Oh, it's cigarettes.
I thought she was gonna have like drugs.
I
thought actual drugs.
I thought she was gonna have a weapon.
Oh, it's true. It could have been a knife. Also, the painting you're talking about, I looked it up. It's Relativity, and it's by M.C. Escher.
Okay,
which is interesting because that painting was made because it was intended to show that everybody has a different perspective on the same thing. Everything is relative to where you're at, which makes complete sense for the show because they all got there for their own reasons. It is a nice metaphorical touch to create the M.C. Escher painting in real life.
To the set design on that one.
Yeah, that must have been like
Big
a really
props.
good set designer.
How much fun would that have been to construct that set?
Yeah, honestly.
Holy shit.
I guess that's pretty much it. Grab your coats. We're gonna walk on out. We are bringing down the Grindhouse, a podcast to discuss horror and media. Real quick, we'd like to just mention the new things that we have. We have our Discord, which is available in our link tree, as well as our Patreon, which you could donate $2 a month to get access to all our bonus content. We just released our first episode of Sci-Fi Corner last week, so make sure to check out that. We talked about Halo. Also, we are beginning to stream on Twitch. So that link is also in there. Jonathan also has his own personal link for Twitch streaming.
I do. I'll link it out.
And we'll link it out in the link tree. Everything that we have is on our link tree.
Yeah,
which
literally.
is everywhere. So check that out. Make sure to rate us and give us a review on Apple Podcasts, as well as follow us on Spotify to get notified when new episodes drop. Also, if you join the Discord, I'll let you know.
Yeah, you can actually hang out with us.
Yeah, you can hang out with us. You can actually discuss.
And y'all are in the chat pretty regularly.
Yeah, we're in the chat. We get my voice cracked. I like to chat in the voice chat.
You like to chat in the voice chat?
Yeah, that was great. I sound like a spokesperson. You can join the actual voice chat where we're all hanging out.
Hell yeah. And we'll be recording some segments on there for Twitch streaming, which is always great. Also, make sure to follow our socials, the Facebooks, the Twitters, and the Instagrams. Make sure to follow and get updated when new stuff comes out, as well as things that we're working on. And then check out our Teespring, where we have merch, where you could support us financially by picking up something to let us know that you love us. And that's pretty much it. Linktree, it's fucking awesome. Sponsor us, Blue Chew.
I reached out to Blue Chew to see if they would sponsor the whole podcast.
Ooh.
Oh, that's exciting. That's exciting.
I sent them an email.
Is this real?
Yeah.
Oh, this is hilarious.
No, I sent them an email with like all of our stats and stuff like that to be like, hey, can we like get a partnership, sponsorship, something?
Yeah, sponsorship. Like,
give us a link. Like,
give us a link.
Spoopy boners coming soon.
Spooky boner.
All right, Mitch, you gotta do the outro.
I'm Mitch.
I'm Murr.
I'm Justine.
and I'm Jonathan. Thank you.